morning. So it's Monday, March 30th. We're going to start going over Chapter 2. Also, if you see this early, don't forget we have a Zoom meeting at 9 o'clock, and it'll go roughly an hour. Okay? So Chapter 2, Roles of Fire and Emergency Service Personnel. So the objectives for Chapter 2, we're going to distinguish among the different types of fire companies, identify the duties of fire suppression or operations personnel, define the roles of training division personnel, recognize possible positions for fire service administration. We'll talk about special operations personnel duties. Those would be your heavy rescue, trench rescue, confined space rescue type jobs. Explain how fire prevention personnel assist in building community fire safety. Compare and contrast the duties of emergency medical services personnel. EMS has become a very big part of the fire service in the last, probably 40 years. Some departments are into EMS and medical calls more heavily than others. Many times, young people trying to get into the fire service, their best shot is to become a paramedic. And you're likely to get hired in large cities or counties, especially in California, if you're a paramedic. Describe the role of emergency management personnel in community safety planning, and recognize other department personnel who assist in carrying out the broad mission of the fire department. So that's everybody from the receptionist at your headquarters building all the way to the fire equipment mechanics. All right. So first things first, the basic component of the fire department is your fire companies. You'll hear references to engine companies, truck companies. That's your basic components of the fire service. That's the equipment, the everyday equipment that you'll see in the firehouse. A fire company consists of a group of firefighters assigned to a particular piece of fire apparatus. Number of personnel varies depending on type of company, size of apparatus, number of personnel available. So in Fresno County, and I'm referring to the county fire, Cal Fire, Fresno, Clovis, North Central Fire, they have varying amounts of personnel available. So for instance, Fresno City Fire generally is a crew of 3, a captain, engineer, and a firefighter. The same with Clovis, same with North Central. Fresno County is unique in the fact that for the most part, except for 2 fire stations, it's 2-person engine companies. The 2 fire stations that are staffed traditionally, it's referred to as traditionally, are Fire Station 85 and Fire Station 87, and they run quite a bit with the city of Fresno and the city of Clovis. Your wildland engines are staffed with 4 in the Cal Fire system. These companies consist of a company officer, a captain, or in the Cal Fire system, an engineer can be a company officer or is a company officer, and by 1 or more firefighters supervised by a battalion chief. So your basic engine company will have a captain, engineer, and 1 or 2 firefighters. Depending on the jurisdiction, your battalion chiefs can have 2 or 3 or 4 fire stations under their command. They can have 2 fire stations under their command. It's just a geographic, geography determines the number of fire stations a battalion chief will be in command of. So your engine companies, next is engine companies. We'll talk about them a little bit. The basic role of an engine company is to deploy hose lines for fire attack and exposure protection. May also perform rescue, forcible entry, or other functions while preparing to make fire attack. So your engine companies will perform basic truck work. In the event that they arrive before the truck company, they will do forcible entry. Depending on the department, they can also do roof ventilation, search and rescue. Again, it depends on the department. Fresno County Fire, all engine companies are in essence a truck company. They do all the truck work on an incident. Engine companies are responsible for primary fire attack on non-structure fires. Engine companies are responsible for fire attack on all types of fires, be they structure fire, car fire, dumpster fires, wildland fires. It's the engine companies, the one that actually put the fire out. Engine companies also respond to medical aids and vehicle accidents, and assisting citizens in whatever they might need, resetting an alarm, getting a cat out of a tree. And that sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's been done. I've done it. You get cats out of trees. Your truck companies. The role of a truck company is to perform forcible entry, search and rescue, ventilation, salvage and overhaul, control of utilities, and provide access to upper levels. So once a truck company arrives, if they arrive with the engine, if that's the way the system works, wherever it is you are employed, they will take care of getting the utilities shut down. They will provide the forcible entry. They will provide access to upper levels, either with an aerial device or ground ladders. They may perform two functions simultaneously. So if you have a truck company with 4 people on it, a captain, an engineer, and 2 firefighters, that engine company may put their aerial ladder up, and they also may perform forcible entry. They have to be able to adjust to the situation, whatever's going on. They may operate elevated master streams for fire attack or exposure protection. So I'm sure you've all seen videos of ladder trucks with their stick up in the air, and they've got a nozzle on the end of that ladder and they're flowing water. That's what's referred to as operating an elevated master stream for fire attack or exposure protection. So if you have a large commercial occupancy and you have an aerial device at the fire, they may be tasked with flowing water from the air, from the tip of the ladder down into that large commercial structure. They may also be used to put up water to protect the adjacent structures from an aerial advantage point. And truck companies also respond to medical calls and citizen assist calls. Rescue squads or rescue companies, their primary responsibility is removal of victims from areas of danger or entrapment. Now keep in mind that both engine companies and truck companies also perform as rescue companies. They're frequently assigned to respond on structure fires, often assist engine or truck companies, perform first aid on patients, refills air cylinders, provides floodlighting, or performs other duties. So your rescue company wouldn't necessarily be providing lighting or filling air bottles. That would be a squad, like a light company, a light squad, or a breathing apparatus squad. Two different things. Rescue is self-explanatory. The rescue squads, primarily their job is search and rescue. A lighting or a breathing support squad would fill SCBA bottles on the scene. They would also help provide lighting for the scene at night. Okay, so that's part 1 of Chapter 2. We're going to move on to fire suppression or operations personnel. Depending on who you work for, again, a lot of these things are subjective. For the most part, firefighters on engines and ladders and squads and rescues are referred to as suppression personnel. Other jurisdictions refer to them as operations personnel because we're operating at the scene of a fire. So fire suppression functions include and are not limited to rescue, exposure protection, fire confinement, fire extinguishment, salvage and overhaul, ventilation, securing utilities, and determining fire cause. All of these activities are included in your suppression folks. Fire cause determination in CAL FIRE is referred to as PFI, or preliminary fire investigation. That's where the company officer starts to look around and ask questions of witnesses or the property owner as to how they think the fire started or what they saw when the fire started. So your firefighter, we're going to start the basic person on an engine or truck company is the firefighter. Duties of firefighters include attending training courses and studying assigned materials on topics such as fire behavior and extinguishment, hazmat, hazardous materials, fire prevention, and safety. So that's something that every firefighter is continuously working on training in order to advance. Firefighters don PPE, personal protective equipment. That's your turnout gear. That's the kind of tan color stuff you see firefighters wearing around Fresno, Clovis, and the county areas. They respond to fire alarms with their engine company, operate fire equipment, lay and connect hose. So in other words, the firefighter job is you pretty much do everything. You take a hydrant and to help supply water to the engine, you pull off pre-connects and you attack the fire directly. You cut hand line around a wildland fire. So the firefighter rank is the person that does a lot of the work. Firefighters ventilate burning buildings, which is either going to the roof and cutting a hole in the roof to release hot smoke and gases, or removing windows and window screens in order to get smoke and hot gas out of the building. And that's a whole nother technique referred to as horizontal ventilation as opposed to vertical ventilation, which is going to the roof. Firefighters remove people from danger, administer first aid, perform salvage and overhaul. Salvage is where we go into a burning building and we try to save as much of the occupants' possessions as possible. Overhaul is when the fire is all out and we remove all the burned material from the building, scrape it back to what we call the green, which is unburned material, and remove that burned insulation and sheetrock and burned furniture, things like that from the building. Firefighters exercise precautions to avoid injury and avoid unnecessary damage to or loss of property. So oftentimes the biggest amount of damage to a structure, a single family dwelling, is not so much the fire itself, but water damage. Firefighters tend to put too much water on the fire and they end up doing a lot more damage to the structure than the original fire would have done. So you don't necessarily need, in a room and contents fire, your bedroom, for instance, you don't need all 700 gallons of water on your fire engine. You might only need 50 gallons of water. It's more efficient and you do less damage. Smoke and heat and fire damage are a category all of themselves, but it's better for us to use our water wisely than to create further damage to the structure itself by using too much water. We ensure safekeeping and proper care of all department property. So we're accountable for everything on our fire apparatus, truck company, ladder company, or engine company, rescue squad, whatever it is, we're accountable for all of that equipment. We're also accountable for all of the equipment and furnishings in the physical fire station. We're accountable for that. So we maintain the equipment, fire apparatus and equipment, and the fire station in a proper form. Everything is in good repair and clean. And firefighters assist the public with general fire safety questions, and you would do that at a fire safety program or a school program. Or just somebody comes by and wants to take a look at the fire station, or they talk to you in the parking lot at the supermarket. you're always trying to educate the public as to what the job is. So requirements for firefighters, there's requirements set forth in NFPA 1001. Recognize that you'll see that again, NFPA 1001. Firefighters should know the department organization, operations, and procedures. So a firefighter needs to know, how is your department organized and what are our standard operating procedures and your job on the engine company. You should know your district or city system and the physical layout. So many departments rotate their new firefighters through all of the stations in that city so that you get to know that particular part of town, that you know where everything is in your city. For instance, if you're a rookie firefighter in Fresno, you get rotated around until you've served at all of their fire stations and you have a good knowledge, a good working knowledge of where everything is. CAL FIRE, on the other hand, especially when you get into the county fire side of things, once you get into a fire station, if you like that fire station and there's no reason for you to be transferred, you can stay there for many years. The downfall of that is you don't know the whole county. You don't know as much about other stations first in as you do your own. I was one of those people that when I got into a place, I wanted to stay there and I knew my areas very well, but I wasn't so sure about outlying areas. Firefighters need to meet minimum health and physical fitness standards, NFPA 1500, NFPA 1582, and NFPA 1583. You'll see those again, folks. Firefighters climb ladders and work at considerable heights. So if you've got a fear of heights, that's something you need to work on. You need to get over that. The same with claustrophobia. You wear a breathing apparatus on your face for sometimes hours at a time, or many minutes at a time, I should say, and it can get a little claustrophobic. So those are things you have to work at to overcome in order to be an efficient firefighter. Firefighters learn a variety of firefighting and rescue duties within a reasonable working probationary period. Most departments have a 1-year probation. That's your civil service probation. CAL FIRE has, for their permanent employees, engineers, and firefighter twos, has a 1-year civil service probation and a 3-year apprenticeship with the Joint Apprenticeship Committee in California. The Joint Apprenticeship Committee ensures that each firefighter 2 and fire apparatus engineer gets all of the training that they need in that 3-year period. When you're finished with your 3-year period and you've taken your manipulative skills test and your written test, you're now considered a journey person and you're eligible to promote to fire captain. Other departments may or may not have the JAP program, but they have some similar training program that each firefighter has to accomplish before they can consider moving on to the next rank. Some departments also, after a period of time, allow firefighters to act in an engineer or an operator position. It just depends on the department. Firefighters must be able to understand and follow oral and written instructions. Okay, so very, very, very important that every firefighter learns how to listen to their command officer, engineer, captain, or just the captain, and is able to comprehend what's being told to them. Perform assigned equipment and station maintenance duties. So you may find yourself, after you've done morning cleanup at your fire station, that you're outside assisting the engineer in maintaining the fire apparatus. All firefighters have to learn how to maintain all the tools on the engine or the truck company or the rescue company. So basically what you get as a firefighter is you get a broad education on all of the different jobs in the fire department. Okay, so we've gone just not quite 20 minutes. We're going to stop right now and I will get ready to continue on with Chapter 2, Section 2. We'll start talking about engineers a little bit. Okay, all right. We'll see you guys in a bit.